Wojak had always been a bit of a thrill seeker, even though life hadn't given him much excitement. So, when he heard rumors about a haunted house in a quiet village on the outskirts of town, his curiosity piqued. Locals spoke of eerie sounds, shadowy figures, and strange lights flickering at all hours of the night. Some said it was the spirit of an old woman who had died there under mysterious circumstances. Others whispered about a family who vanished without a trace. Determined to uncover the truth, Wojak decided to spend one night in the most haunted house. The house stood alone on a desolate hill, its old wooden frame creaking under the weight of years. Wojak could feel the chill in the air as he approached, a heavy fog swirling around him as he climbed the cracked stone steps to the front door. The place was falling apart. Windows were broken, vines crawled up the walls, and the once vibrant paint had faded to a dull, ghostly gray. Still, something inside him drove him forward. He pushed open the door, which groaned like a dying creature, and stepped into a dark, musty hallway. Dust particles floated in the dim moonlight streaming through the broken windows, casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. The silence was oppressive, but Wojak's heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement. Wojak made his way to the living room, his flashlight casting a weak beam across cobweb-covered furniture and dusty framed photographs. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on him, as if the walls themselves held memories of past horrors. Suddenly, a cold gust of air swept through the room, causing his flashlight to flicker. He steadied himself, chalking it up to a draft, but he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Hours passed as Wojak explored the house. Each room told a story of decay and abandonment. In the kitchen, he found rotting utensils and a moldy smell that nearly made him gag. Upstairs, he discovered a child's bedroom, toys scattered on the floor as if the child had simply vanished mid-play. The eeriest part was the silence. No birds, no crickets, just an overwhelming quiet that seemed to swallow every sound he made. As midnight approached, Wojak settled in the parlor, trying to convince himself that the house was just an old, forgotten place with a history of exaggeration. But as the clock struck 12, he heard a faint sound, like distant footsteps. His body froze, his heart pounding so loudly he thought it would burst. The footsteps grew louder, echoing through the empty halls, approaching the room where he sat. Desperately clinging to his flashlight, Wojak shone it toward the hallway. For a moment he saw nothing. But then, from the darkness, a shadowy figure appeared, moving slowly toward him. It was a woman, her face obscured by darkness, her long, bony fingers reaching out as if to grasp him. Wojak stumbled backward, his flashlight slipping from his hand and rolling across the floor. The figure let out a low, mournful wail that echoed through the house, filling Wojak with a bone-deep terror he had never known. He scrambled to his feet, grabbing the flashlight and pointing it at the figure, but she vanished, dissolving into the darkness as quickly as she had appeared. Wojak's hands shook as he backed away, his every instinct screaming at him to leave. But his escape was far from simple. As he ran down the hall toward the front door, the air grew colder and whispers began to fill his ears, indistinct, haunting voices that seemed to come from every direction. He turned the flashlight left and right, but there was nothing to see, only the sound of the whispers growing louder, almost angry. Finally reaching the front door, Wojak grabbed the handle and yanked it open, gasping as he stumbled onto the front steps. Behind him, he heard the door slam shut, sealing the house and its secrets away once more. Wojak didn't stop running until he was far from the house, his heart pounding, his body drenched in cold sweat. As he reached the village, the first light of dawn began to break, casting a pale glow over the landscape. Wojak turned back, looking toward the hill, where the haunted house loomed like a dark shadow against the morning sky. He felt a strange mixture of relief and regret, knowing he had survived a night in the most haunted house, but that he would never know the full story of the spirits trapped within. From that day on, Wojak became a local legend in the village, the man who had spent a night in the haunted house and lived to tell the tale. Yet he never spoke of what he had seen. The memory stayed with him, haunting him in his dreams, a reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved.